During this week's show, we're going to tell you why we are announcing we are embarking on the Summer of Love. It is a sizzling summer, and it's not just about falling in love with other people, but with yourself. We'll dive into which signs are most ripe to find love and jump in bed with you. We'll dish about the most common concerns we hear, and we'll do readings about our clients' love lives and share our best advice.
There are so many people that are disconnected from their internal guidance. My mission is to change that.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
I'm your tarot master and bad vibe blaster.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Welcome to LOL, Leading Out Loud, where we hope to become your favorite spiritual shift show on earth. Joining me tonight is our Motley mystical crew, calling in the powers of the tarot cards and the ancient occult, Tarot Master Chris Reck. Speaking for and to the dead, psychic medium Scott Cruz. And giving voice to the astrology and planets, psychic astrologer Christopher Witecki. And representing the angels in heaven, yours truly, I'm angel communicator Devon Duerr. Sensei Christopher has lost his voice public speaking so much over the last couple weeks and this past weekend. And so I am starting off the show today, but he'll be chiming in with us. We're going to have a lot of fun here today. And we are crazy enough to do this live. We are streaming to each of our audiences as well as on our YouTube home channel at LOL Leading Out Loud. And we have a live super chat going on right now. If you are in the chat, please tell us where you are chatting from and your astrology sign, because we're going to be touching on that with this Summer of Love. Also, if you have any feedback, put it in the comments for future shows. We're so excited to keep networking with you guys this way and doing this every week. Now, we are calling this the Summer of Love, and it's going to be really fun to see how this affects all of the signs. And we've been doing a psychic surf report for the week, but this time we're going to do it for the whole summer because this is so important. The panel is going to discuss all the signs, and I would like to jump over to Christopher now. Christopher, can you share with the audience, why are we calling this the Summer of Love?
Thank you, Devon, and thank you, God, for blessing me with this voice.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here. Well, the summer love is not about my throat, but it is about the sun and Venus. They're going to be conjunct for 2 straight weeks. And Jupiter and Gemini, accompanied with the sun and Venus, means that I believe we're going to really stir up this like powerful idea where we fall in love with ourselves. We fall in love with an idea about someone else or something else. And this idea, I believe, will just grow into a fire of love until Leo. In fact, I believe the Summer of Love apexes on the Lion's Gate on 8/8/24. So I feel like we're all going to be engaged. And the other aspect I want to talk about too is I feel like love workers and love walkers. Actually, love workers is a whole other thing. Let's put on the griddle. Yes, love workers, love walkers, cats and dogs. It's going to be mayhem.
Oh. Well, what's the Aqua in the room had to say about this?
Yeah.
Speaking of love walkers, I think, generally speaking, I can concur with Christopher too. I mean, I think that, and I know people are like, oh, self-love thing again, summer self-love. Can I just do something with somebody else? So yes, there is that, but that's the way you actually be able to mingle with other people, is find the self-love within you. So it doesn't mean it's just limited, just your being alone. It's just, you're going to find more partnerships in that. So I think as we get into the different signs too, we'll see the different dynamics of such. And I think Scorpios might be a little surprised this summer.
Ooh. Okay. Anything for the Cancers there, Chris?
I think that this is going to be an amazing time for people maturing in love with the King of Swords, and also kind of like exceeding your own expectations. So, how can you do better than the last one is what I'm getting here with these 2 cards. Or, can you kind of stretch yourself in love? And that's really, really what I get here with these 2 cards.
What are you getting for the signs that are the top signs that are going to get love, though, Christopher?
So the truth of the matter is, I think, first of all, we've all been through a lot of darkness. We can all agree to that. I think the world is ready to party. So I think there's a big party vibe going on. We're certainly
Mm.
feeling that unite the light with people. Like we could not send them home. Like we had to close the doors. So I feel like there's this party vibe going on. So I think everyone's going to be having a sort of a party. However, I do think many people have been waiting for this moment to fall in love. They've been facing their karma. They've been facing all their lower vibration stuff. And they all knew, like a lot of my clients, we'll talk about this later, but a lot of my clients have said, I know I'm not supposed to end up alone. Like I know it, but what the hell? And I've said to them, wait to the summer of love, because I believe that this is the summer where a lot of people finally have the right idea about themselves that is attractive to the other person. So basically I've been thinking unattractively of me. However, as far as the number one, so here's how it kind of goes down. There are 5 signs that are going to do the best, in my opinion. One's bow chicka bow wow. Number 1 does go to Scorpio because Jupiter is going to be in their 8th house. Y'all lock up your virgin daughters. The Scorpios are going to be out this summer.
Did I call it or did I call it?
Number 1. And then number 1 for love is Libras. Sagittariuses are the number 1 for lifetime story of love. So I think Sagittarius. I think Geminis are going to be found in the friend zone, unfortunately, although they're going to be, I think Gemini women, Scott and I talked about this. Gemini women are going to be finding the man, but Gemini men, I think, are going to be stumbling for a different reason a little bit. And Leo are going to be in a category of starting as friends and then moving probably into love. And the rest of the signs we can go into later, but it's mostly being in love with a part of their life.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was definitely getting some messages from the angels too about all of them. And when you mentioned the Scorpios, you know, the angels were talking about making sure that you allow love to evolve from a friendship versus the other way around. And when they were talking about Geminis, they were saying action speaks louder than words. So keep that in mind too, Geminis. The Aquas were saying, the angel said, nurture yourself and others, but especially with physical touch. Get really physical with the ones that you want to snuggle up with. Sagittarius is add the water element to your relationship, but allow more time for the steam to build. So we'll get to more signs too there. But Scott, what did you want to talk about next with these signs here?
Well, my top 3 signs definitely, number 1 was Scorpio. I think Scorpio, especially Scorpio women, have in for a surprise this summer, a good surprise. So I think they might feel the push to be committed, I think. So I think that'd be, I don't think, I feel. And so I definitely feel like they're going to be in for a surprise, and they're going to want commitment. They're going to want compatibility and companionship. So Scorpio women, watch out this summer. Aquarius is another a sign that I feel like is going to be kind of peaking around this summer too. So I'm giving you my 3 top of the summer. That would be the highlights of summer of love. And Aquarius seems to be another one to find their true love. Now, us Aquarians tend to make, professions and other things loves over relationships. So either way, I think for Aquarians, they're going to find their true love or fall into the essence of their true love, whether it be a career or relationship. And my 3rd was also Geminis, actually. I think Gemini, predominantly women, I feel like, will find more of their essence. And I feel Gemini men will be more into a love, like a career or hobby in that sense as well. And I also want to, I would say, I didn't mention is Leo women will be more into the love of being, I would say, free love, and the men might want to be more settled down. So those are kind of my top picks. We can go into more detail as Christopher and I already did in Summer Love, but we'll kind of do our recaps here too with the other two.
I just want to concur on everything you said, Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll definitely tap in with the other signs. What about you, Chris Reck? Do you have any tops?
Yeah, my first card of Scorpio that I pulled, Tower. I think that, but listen up because I can help you all get lucky this summer right here. 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands. You have to take a risk. I think everybody, if you want love, doesn't matter what sign you are. 5 of Wands is my card of adventure. 5 of Swords is my card of like taking a risk and putting yourself out there. And then Aries pops up here as well. So I think everybody has it, but also Scorpio and Aries are going to be my top 2 right here.
Okay.
Someone just asked if we're talking sun signs. I just want to jump in and say it would be sun and rising both, but sun more important than rising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll definitely touch on the other signs too, right? As we get to the backstage side of things.
Yeah. So let's really quickly too. What are the signs you think that might have the most struggle this summer, real quick? Maybe ones that might have a little bit of more of a challenge. For me, and I guess I'll just kick it off, being that I've started. I feel that the most struggle would be within Libra for some reason. I do, and again, I'm just actually free reading this right now. I'm looking at the 12 signs right now. I'm just picking out who I feel psychically. So, for some reason, I think Libra might have a challenge on that. So they might have to get rid of an old love to get a new love. So I do feel like there'll be a little bit of a separation with that as well. Virgo, I feel like will also have a little bit of a challenge in a sense of they're going to have to pick this summer, pick and choose between two loves. Either it's two lovers or a love between career or hobby. So I feel like Virgos will have to be very decisive this summer. And I think also my last one would be Aries seems confusion to me in this summer of love, but more options. So it could be confusion because there's more options. So I think that could be a positive thing. But I also feel like there's going to be that confusion that will launch into, all right, I'm ready to settle down. All right, I'm ready to kind of lock onto something because I've had so much options, so much confusion. I'm now out of that haze. I can see where I want to be. So that could be a positive thing, even though they might have a little more of a challenge with that indecision.
Okay, I want to jump in on that then because I think you're spot on. I think Libras, one of the things about Libra women in particular is they've got to get rid of an ego, which is tied to a man. And by the way, letting go of a relationship to start one is what we call a Libra. Just for the record. I concur. I think I want to concur that Aquas, I think, are going to fall in love, but it's hot and cold. So some Aquas want to stay cool, but the ones who want love, I think will get love. I agree with the Virgos. They always want two things at once. That's why they're step 11. I love myself and love myself some more. I'm recommending a 3-me or maybe a threesome program for them to have it all. So I just want to I want to concur with that. And I think with Aries, are finding their softer side. And so they're confused because of that. They're more the sheep and less the ram these days. Just saying.
Interesting. Yeah, the angels were talking a lot for Libra is that they've got to find a different way to be more sincere with love for themselves. So I know, Scott, you were saying at the beginning, like love, self-love again, it's like we hear this all the time, but the angels really want the Libras to look at it differently. They see it as like, well, I went to the gym, so I love myself, or I did this nice thing for my health, so I love myself, but they want you to find better ways to do it where it's really a lot more sincere. I was getting at the Pisces, their biggest struggle is going to be breaking up with doubting themselves. It's not going to, when they go through breakups, they catch themselves doubting themselves. And then when it comes to the new relationship, they fall back into that. So as long as you are willing to break away from that old relationship of doubting yourself, you'll see how amazing you are. And others will see that as well. And then I saw with Aries too, it's going to be about showing your love in small ways, having little sweet compliments in a random text, because Aries love to charge in too, kind of like the Scorpios will do. And so think of the little small sweet things you could do. And the Tauruses, you guys are going to have to slow down with your work. You've got to focus on your lifestyle. We've had Jupiter in Taurus for a while now. It just finally went into Gemini. It's time to take a break.
You hear that, Sensei? You hear that down there? Knock on that head. You get it?
I don't know what you're talking about. Where's the proof?
Chris, what is your signs of challenge?
I think that, this would be like Aquarius, but I think that also that there are going to be some people who are really focused on their goals or reinventing themselves. So people who get swept up in that energy could be any sign. I think everybody's different, but there's like a little motivational energy coming through here. So I think there's some people who will be motivated and working. So those people just might not be interested in love or might not be focused on it. Aries showed up under the best and the worst now. I think that there's something with control in needing to release control. So I think Aries, if you want love, letting go of control, again, tapping into that softer side maybe would be a good idea. Both cards, reinvention as well. So anyone who's reinventing themselves right now, not necessarily a bad thing, of course, but you might just be in this transition zone for love. And then Page of Pentacles, I think little immature creepers creeping around, getting all up in your business, be careful of that energy as well as what I'm getting off the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
So Cancers and Capricorns didn't get mentioned. That's my sun and rising. I guess it's going to be an easy summer for me.
Snooze fest.
Yes.
Keep streaming.
I'll find ways.
I think cancers actually are going to find their niche too. And I've said this before too, like even though they're not the top or bottom, they're kind of in the middle, but I think they're going to have some like breakthroughs in that sense too. I definitely feel with cancers. Cancers have been struggling for a while with finding their voice and finding their issue. I think their voice, more so cancer men. And so I think that they're going to see a lot more of that, connection and completion and finding their voice as well. So, but we have a lot of clients that we talk about, and a lot of it's all about love, right? And so we can all like share stories, which we're going to do when we come back. But first, we have a wonderful friend, Brittany Carmichael, who's also speaker at Unite the Light. She's a women's leader. I guess that's the best way I can call it, right? She leads women. She's holding a summer solstice this summer, actually, for women. And so yeah, maybe we can share our viewpoints about our good friend. Brittany.
She is so fantastic. She gathers all the goddesses together. This is an annual event she does. I believe this one is June 20th. And she really empowers people to get together. And if you've ever done any event on the summer solstice, then you know yourself how powerful this is.
Right.
Then when you bring all this amazing goddess energy together with a leader like Brittany, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we check out her promo for it?
Let's check it out. We'll be right back, guys.
What I realized in doing all of this work and building this community is that being in person is undeniable. It can change your life. One story, one hug, one smile, one conversation, one weird channeled message where you're like, how did you know that? It has the power to change your life. And so for me, hosting events has become the most important thing. So I wanted to share the Summer Solstice, a women's wellness event that we do in McKinney, Texas. This is the event that we put together. I wanted to bring the light workers and the leaders and the healers together and give back to them so that they could have a day of pampering and play, because we're always pouring our love and our energy into everyone else. So I created this epic event where we take time to heal our mind, our body, our soul, and connect with community so that we know we're not alone on this journey. So I share this because we've got this event coming up in June, and if you are looking to put yourself in a room with other amazing people, then I invite you to come join.
Awesome. So guys, if you're interested, check it out now, because I think spots are going quick. So get your spots on. There's a little scan code on the window there, on the screen, on the window, on the TV window, on the media window. And so just scan that. You can get your spot at the summer solstice, and I think you'll have a wonderful time. A very healing
right around the corner.
Brittany,
right around the corner, guys.
I just want to say Brittany is like the real deal with Divine Feminine, in the sense that a lot of women aren't finding love because they haven't transitioned their energy from the old toxic stuff.
Right.
And so what Brittany is doing is, she's a self-made woman. She's a Libra, and she's the real deal. Like, she really will be strong, but feminine and soft at the same time, and help women go through that very uncomfortable process of letting go of the narcissist or whatever, which is what we'll talk about coming up. So cannot recommend Brittany enough. I wanted to go to it, but it's chicks only. So I'll be
I'm a
breaking it.
halfsy, so I can kind of show up for a little bit. So
This is where I'll be dressing up in drag and going. Let's see if anyone notices.
not with that voice and those hooves.
Hi, honey.
Oh, I can't with that. Oh, I lost it. Anyway, so
too many memories came up there. Too many memories, huh?
Oh, those are my days. Okay, so we have a lot, like we were saying before. Now, we as readers get so many questions about love. Love is like one of the most important, I would say, topics that people come to for readings. Whether who they're compatible with, will they ever find love? Are they meant to be alone? Is a current partner the narcissist, or are they the narcissist? So there's so many different aspects. Is my ex coming back? We get a lot of those too. Is my ex my twin flame? So many different parameters of readings that we have, and success stories as well. So I think we want to compare notes now and kind of share our experiences of different readings that we've had with clients. And so I want to kick this off with Devon. See, she has a great story to tell about a client.
Well, it's really more the common theme that I see with a lot of women is my client base is a lot of really strong women focused on their career, focused on being a leader, and they will come to me with a career question, but really it's a romantic question. What they really want to know is that guy at work going to ask her out, or does she really have a chance to get invited to this event where she knows some other people are going? So my advice really from getting that is to trust that you're going to get the information you need at the time, what's in your highest interest. And when you go into these readings, it's such a common question. if you're not getting a clear answer, then there's not a clear answer for you there. There's something else that has to happen first. Wouldn't you agree with that, Chris Reck?
Yeah, I love that you said that. It just reminds me of a cookie story, right? And I'll paraphrase it, but there's a famous sales story from a guy, David Sandler, and he says that when you were a child, you would ask your mother for a cookie before dinner. She would say no. And long story short, eventually you would go and you would tell your mother you were hungry. You would stop asking for the cookie. And so, we all learn as adults that we don't ask for exactly what we want. And so, I think that what you're saying is kind of, basically us humans, we need to ask for what we want. I see this a lot in relationship questions as well, where I can tell the person isn't asking exactly what they want. One of my most common questions that I used to get all the time was, should I leave this person? Right. That's like the number one question. It's not even, is this person coming back or whatever? It's people asking me, should they leave a person? I'm like, well, the answer is yes, you're asking the question. So you already are thinking about leaving. Right. And so it kind of goes back to, just not asking for exactly what you want. So Scott, what do you seem like someone who asks for exactly what he wants. What do you think about this?
I get what I want. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Actually,
True.
The bad example if I'm kidding about that. But I always tell people you never know what's in the future. And that's why a lot of people come to psychic readings. So they want to know what's in the future. And so a lot of times there is a completely paradigm overhaul, a paradigm shift. And so there's one client I had in particular that was actually an abusive relationship, and her focus was on how to maintain the abusive relationship. But she had to first realize, one, you shouldn't be maintaining it, you need to get out of that. So after helping her make that realization and finally getting out of that and divorcing and having no finances to help her to cover her back, and everything worked out, of course, because we also had to strategize legally, and she did. And so after she found her voice after leaving that, after I think it was like 15-20 years, then now her problem is that she's has too many people she's dating. She's like, Scott, what about this person? I have this person. I don't know who to pick. So it's funny that we go from, a person can go from being in an abusive relationship, stuck and bound, no freedom, no independence, to now she's on the other end of the spectrum, having too many dates going on. And she's more concerned about how to pick the one that she likes the most. So the point is, a lot of times you guys are so focused on the present, which is good to be present, but we have to start looking into the future and ask ourselves, how much further can we take this? And is this compatible, or is this really the love that I've been waiting for? And if it isn't, then who's waiting for me in the future? So there's always a big paradigm shift, especially if you guys are really focusing on making that change. And I think that the key here is to understand is nothing's ever set. I've seen so many people change, like 180 changes, and I've told things in the future, they're like, yeah, right. And then it happens, of course, and they never thought it would happen. So keep in mind that there's always massive change ahead, and that you're stuck and bound to where you're at. Can we pull out to the floor now? Thank you.
A little too close for comfort. I got to say that, first of all, every Virgo is obsessed with some Gemini somewhere. So I'm always talking to Virgo off the Gemini ledge. I don't know what it is. I advise all Virgos to stay away from Geminis, especially now. The reason why we didn't talk about Cancer is because Cancers can't let go. And I think they have one more round with whatever when Pluto goes into Capricorn in September. So it'll be a summer love for Cancer until the X knocks on the door. So I think the biggest thing with astrology and love readings is, and I've even had readings with very powerful people, and they don't take this to heart. It's not the astrology, it's you.
Right.
A lot of times people don't want to face, they'll say, when's love going to come? And I'm like, well, if you want the old model, it can come anytime. If you want the love of your life, you've got to face this. And they're like, I'll just stay in misery. So what tends to happen is, I think in backstage and love readings, people want to know when, and I try to help them with how. And the how is getting yourself into alignment with your own heart, loving yourself, because if you don't know how to love yourself, how the hell will you ever find someone that does also? And that's the thing. People are like, he doesn't get me. You don't get you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my experience with love readings, that it's really about the self, and the love will come when the self is ready.
Well, I want to hear y'all's feelings about soulmates and twin flames, because that's another question. It's like, is this my soulmate? Or, oh, I've met my twin flame. When should we get married? Because I have some thoughts on that from what I've seen in my readings, but I want to hear from all of you.
Yeah, I got to regurgitate this. The twin flame stuff, like the twin flame stuff, is more like a Greek, mythological type of thing. What was that?
I was looking at the title.
Let us know next time that you're looking titles, because otherwise, yeah. But it's an old idea, and I think the twin flame ideology does kind of exist in higher dimensionalities of spirit, but not in the physical world. And if you were to be one soul that split off, you split off for a reason. Stop trying to look for another part. You know what I'm saying? So, like, be the individual self and understand you can use twin flame energy as someone who really mirrors your energy, which is great as an indicator that way. But I always say soulmates, we're soulmates. Anyone who helps you on the soul level is a soulmate. So please be definitive and say life partner. I want a life partner, and that would be more specific of what your mind would be on board to the specifics of what a life partner really means. And you're not being so generic. And, I think a lot of people take astrology a little too far when it comes to their soulmate and match, because there's a rising, there's a moon, there's all these different houses I'm learning from Christopher. So there's so many different dynamics and different polarities to each part of the signs that you have to understand if you're in a positive, dynamic of that sign or the negative aspect. So all these different parameters come into play when it comes to matching. So don't take it too far when it comes to astrology and your compatibility matching. Understand you have a personality too, and how that personality is integrating and changing and evolving as well. And that's why I say discernment could also be very key on that. So let astrology be the premise, the foundation, and you can alter that along the way.
Yeah.
Well, I was joking backstage that I every time I met someone I really like and I look at their chart, I don't know why I like them. So it's like the astrology, escapes me. But I have met my twin flame. We're not getting along in this lifetime. We did separate for a reason. Thank you, Scott. We're currently not talking. But and I do think they exist. But I think, if a twin flame exists, I don't know what the whole concept fully is, but it really is a version of yourself, and to learn who you are and to see how bad you are in bed. Those types of things, right? To really get a reflection. I'm joking. That was a joke that went sour. But the point is, like, you know what you're like when you sleep with yourself. You know what you're like when you date yourself. Right. There's something there. I think every few lifetimes where we hook up with an aspect, maybe it's an aspect of ourselves. I don't know.
Right. But that doesn't mean we have to chase that twin flame either. I just want to be clear. A lot of people feel like they have to chase it and change. And I'm changing for the person. And I see a lot in the communities, and it's so binding. It's like an enslaved energy. So I just want to clear that up for a lot of people who might be buying into the twin flame theory. You don't have to change to get them. You're using them to change so you get what you want, not them.
Well, and the attraction is getting to know yourself in the physical plane. Like, so that tension will calm down if you just get to know yourself. So Romeo and Juliet, maybe we're twin flames. They're obviously idiots and brand new at it and couldn't manage, the passion. I think twin flames evolved to be like, Einstein and his wife, Madame these power couples down the line that end up inventing something on the planet or whatever. As far as soulmates are concerned, my attitude is if we made it before, you're no longer on the list. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, a soulmate is someone I mated with. Therefore, we've done it. I've been there. I don't know if I want seconds or not. There's always lessons there, but a soulmate is teaching you, again, something about you in relationships that you need to know. So to me, these are necessary steps towards the one you contracted with.
I have a little bit of different take on both those. I agree with a lot, but I want to hear from Chris Reck first before I chime in.
Well, I call them BS flames on my channel, but I actually say the bad word on my channel. So, I think that, pretty much people overcomplicate relationships for the most part. I think, any of the old people I met that are truly happy and that are still married, or even people that have been married that are truly happy for like 30 years that aren't just saying they're happy, their relationships are all super simple and like boring. Like every single Wednesday night, they go to the same restaurant, they have dinner, but they do things like work through their arguments like that. I was listening to someone the other day who had been married for like a really long time, and that's what they said. They said they just didn't give up on each other. I mean, like simple stuff. It's not this like complicated Kate Beckinsale, although I want Kate, I want to marry you. You're my twin flame, right, Kate? But what I would say is that, this is not some sort of Kate Beckinsale rom-com, right? Where like there has to be this push-pull, this like drama and this fighting and all this other stuff. So I think it's, I don't know, I blame TV or something for this getting out of control, twin flames, soulmates, all that other stuff. I think people make it too complicated.
Yeah, I mean, one day I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I found my soulmate.
I love that.
Aquarius.
No, but I agree with you on that, Chris. But Devon, what's your take on that? Because we have kind of.
Well, I 100% agree with all of you. It's totally marketed and overdone. However, there've been a lot of patterns with the clients that I've seen where a twin flame will come in, or someone that they call a twin flame, as a matter of healing over a past heartbreak. So you'll have someone kind of like whirl in. You could call it the rebound if you have to, but there's all this passion there to allow you to remember, oh, wait, I am an attractive person. Oh, wait, I'm not that person that other person said I was so much and made me feel so big. So a lot of times a twin flame can just like do a drive-by miniature healing or just wake you up again. So I invite my clients to flip the script on things like that with twin flames. Like, what is this person helping you heal? And then my only other caveat I would say with the soulmates is just from reading so many books and doing past life regressions. I love the books by Michael Newton, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. There is a contract we'll make with our soulmates, whether it's our pets, our children, our parents, to help us achieve our goals here. So another way to look at a soulmate is somebody who you agreed, like, hey, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. We're going to help each other through this and learn together. So there's always a way to kind of flip the script, stay out of a lot of that marketing we see to get your attention, clickbait, so to speak.
Right. And I think too, that's what makes a lot of people feel like they're not going to find love, because they see all this built up stuff. So like, I don't know if that's for me, because I just want a simple partner, like Chris was saying, or they're too obsessive over something. So they're like, I don't think it's for me. It's like, well, take rid of all the hogwash, all the sensationalized stuff, and just get down to the nitty gritty. There's billions of people in this world. Of course, there's at least a couple 100 million that match your energy. What does that look like for you? And so, and some people, a lot of times I see people who are just settled with like, I guess I'm just going to be alone. And so they're okay with being alone. And it's like, why? I mean, what is this? What's the settling on that? And they become comfortable with this. And so I always like to say, it's not about being alone. It's about spending time with yourself. Big difference. Because if you're spending more time with yourself, you'll get more insight, and then you'll connect with people in the grocery store. You'll meet people easily. And that's how I've always lived my life. I never went online and started searching for matchmakers. I would go somewhere, boom, meet someone and start dating, because I was always in my essence in that sense, and just being intuitive of where I should be going. And it was always a grocery store, a bathroom, all these places. So,
you'll have to tell us about that.
That's next week.
That's next week. Yeah.
Next week of who's a compatible in bed. But you'd be surprised like where you can actually be connecting with these people, and how easy you can fall into place if you allow it. So those who think like it's not for you, it's not for you, it's for everybody. We're here to connect. And I think it takes more work to deprive yourself of a relationship than it is just to give in and be free with it.
But I really feel, I just want to put out there that a lot of my clients don't think they're going to find love. And I'm like, no, you will. I would say probably 80% think they won't, like when they come to me. And I see it for everyone. I think for this lifetime, I'm a Pluto and Libra generation. We've come here to work out relationships and take them to the next level. We are Generation X. So I know we definitely have to be in relationships. I think the earth has to process romance and relationships on a higher level now. And so for that reason alone, I think a lot of people will be connecting and finding their love in this lifetime. I think we've all signed up for it. And I think we all sign up for it after the shift or during the shift, or to meet when the bombs are falling. It's going to be part of that romantic, true romance.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
All right.
Is that the end of the segment? I'm supposed to do a promo.
So I'm just curious. I want to do one more on twin flames, Scott. Have you ever psychically felt, what do you feel when people claim that? Especially with like a narcissist? Like that's the big, theme I have with women coming in right now is narcissist after narcissist.
Yeah, and that's the buzzword of the decade too. So I even hate saying that, because a lot of times I find the people who are thinking they're with the narcissist are the narcissists themselves. I'm like, leave them alone.
I know.
Right? Stop begging for his attention. He made it clear, narcissist. Yeah. So
I went by his house. I called him. I texted him. I told him he's a narcissist.
Right. I only talked to him like 5 times today. So I've seen a lot of this, that the twin. I feel like the twin flame narrative has created a lot of that. I gotta get him. I've changed. I want to see if he's noticed the change, and so it's created a lot of that heaviness and turned people into the narcissist that they're saying they detest. So I've seen a lot of this, or I just seen there's a lot of course empaths in the room here too, as I know, that I feel like they have to fix the narcissist. Oh, but I can do it. I've seen the good sides. Like, honey, a little bit of a good side is not enough to the bigger picture. You got to fill in a whole puzzle piece. One little puzzle piece isn't going to do any good if you put that puzzle piece in. You have about 1 million other pieces to put together. So it's just not worth it. And so you're not here to say relationships aren't charity work. Right. So relationships are here to be compatibility and to be fun. Don't make your life a charity. If you want to go be a part of charity, start a charity or go contribute to one. Thanks for that zoom out. That was a perfect timing.
Preach.
But speaking of, now that again, talking about readings and such, if you guys are interested too and want to really know more about the compatibility of your relationships, where they're going, what is the karmic past of those relationships, if it's a karmic relationship or not, I specialize in relationships even more so because I'm an Aquarius. We're just great at relationships. So, but I do offer life readings that we help with karmic past when it comes to relationships, your future love, also getting through breakups, also getting through divorces. It's been a number one, I would say, topic of mine in my 12 years of doing readings. So you can visit scottcruzpm.com if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me, both Zoom and phone as well, because I was like, phone, what's a phone anymore, right? We all do things on video. So Zoom and phone, and you better catch it now because next month my prices will be going up.
Prices are going up. And
so
Scott's
get into the summer deal over here.
Well, and I love tuning in for your Thursday nights too over there on where is it, on Instagram and YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah, I do every live on YouTube. Scott Cruz. That's it, Scott Cruz. I'm just trying to think, is there like a label on it? No, Scott Cruz second meeting. I do a live, and if you can't afford, those who maybe strapped for money, because I know inflation has been pretty crazy for a lot of people. I do offer live readings there for very, very low discounted price. You want to get like a question in or a simple read or a video session, I make it very accessible for you guys to get it redone. And
it's a great way to spend a Thursday night. Fun.
It is. I'm there almost every Thursday chatting it up. And Scott's the real deal. I mean, the first thing he said to me was like, okay, let's talk about your love life. I was like, oh shit. Okay.
I love it. Well, and
also, let me just add to that too. Also, those have loved ones in spirit that want to connect as well too. Yeah. I channel a lot of late husbands, late wives that passed on, and so if you really want to connect too and get that information and understand how to connect with them too, that's as a medium I do offer that as well. And Devon and I had that experience when we first met. So
yes, absolutely spot on and beautiful. Loved it. Well, and this topic is so powerful for all of us here, but one other recurring issue I will often hear from clients, since we've been talking about what goes on in our readings, is people who feel their relationships are suffering because their partner is not a fellow light worker. Now, I know all of you here watching now and later, you are light workers, whether you call yourself or not, but that's why you've been called here to watch this show, this shift show. But many of us will wake up to the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm a divine appointment, but my spouse isn't, or my lifetime partner isn't, or the people that I surround myself are not. I've got to cut everybody out of my life. Well, I want to talk to the panel about this because this does come up a lot, and that is not the case. That is a myth out there in a lot of the TikTok channels and viral things you go about cutting everybody out of your life. So I want to hear from the panel. Do you hear this often of people just cutting people out of their life or wanting to leave their partner just because they're not as spiritual as they are? Let's go to Chris Reck first.
Yeah, I've never heard anything. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. But kind of something that reminds me of it is, people say things like, do you regret like dating a person or something like that? And, kind of like along those same lines, I would say that, to me, life is an experience. So I would never like want to date a person that thinks everything I do. And, I think that's kind of like what is important here. I think it would be better. My mom tells me not to date the astrology girl. So, I think it would be better for me to find some muggle, out there that doesn't believe in any of this other stuff, right? It would be like a challenge. It would probably just help me see another perspective, and it would be a learning experience. So, that's what I think.
I agree. I mean, it's just like, you want two lawyers? How would two lawyers go as being in marriage? Like, it's like, you know what I mean? So I had a lot of clients that say, I don't know, everything's great, but it's like, if they're open and support you, that's the most important thing. I mean, that's someone acting in love. And so eventually, if they love you, support you, they might adapt your ideologies and somehow maybe get into that. But I think that, your spiritual journey is it's individual. It's not collective. So a lot of times having a person who's not doing the same work as you could actually be more beneficial to your work, actually. And so I think that you also run the risk of being competitive if there's Leos in the mix. And so you don't want that aspect too, and who's making more money doing whatever. So you run the risk of doing that too. So I'm not saying to run away from that, but there's a lot of negatives that can come into the picture when it comes to dating a light worker too.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. I mean, I have a lot of clients, mostly women, who are wondering, will my husband ever get it? Will he ever be on board with me? And my answer is no. He didn't get it when you were a witch. He didn't get it when you were a gypsy. He's never getting it. Like every lifetime he doesn't get it. Like I think what we have to adopt is, I think first of all, there's not many light workers on the planet. So we have to understand God has spread us out. You know, we're not there's going to be a lifetime where everyone knows this stuff.
Right.
This isn't it. You know, the other thing I think is really powerful is I think relationships are about sharing. I like, my partners to come in with something I don't know. So I think what's unhealthy there is that partners ought to be supporting one another in whatever their particular interests are, and be able to learn those skill sets and hold that space. And I think it's a unique skill set, just like he doesn't, he wants to talk about golf, you know what I mean? And what's interesting him. So I feel like in many cases, it was only through the love that the man in most cases was willing to even look at it. Right. So I think a lot of times it's through that love, because it's undeniable. He can't, he or she can see clearly it's having an impactful, meaningful part of their life. Right. And so I think a lot of times God actually converts through love.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, another thing that I've seen with clients and stuff who are asking this question, well, I wish my husband was more spiritual. He doesn't get what I'm doing with this. What I usually get guidance from the angels is, you know what? Go work on yourself and forget about it. You remember that line from Under the Tuscan Sun? Go work on your house and forget about it. I love that movie, because what's really going on underneath there is you're feeling bored. You're wanting more. And maybe you didn't realize you were really kind of codependent on your partner to spark things up, to make things exciting, to make things passionate. And so I love what Reck said. My grandmother used to say that all the time. Wouldn't the world be a boring place if we were all the same thing? And it's healthy to have things that you love on your own and they love on your own and you do separately. But the main advice here for this that I get from the angels too is when you work on raising your vibration to that point, if you are not meant to be with that partner, they will go away. They will not be able to handle that vibration. It is just that an energetic vibration there. So it's not even something you have to make a choice about. When you go work on yourself and forget about it, the vibration and the law of attraction and the way the universe works takes care of it for you.
You bring up a good point. A lot of times light workers need to be grounded by someone else.
Totally.
They're too high.
Right.
And they need someone who's just sort of like in their body, in the moment, into the nitty gritty, into the details, all the shit that they are not paying attention to as they drive down the street 100 miles an hour.
It's true. Because you might need a husband, or wife that is good with the numbers, good with the books, as you're doing your flighty-dotty stuff, and be more on that supportive road too. And I totally agree with the grounding part of that. I was just going to spill that out too. That's so true, that you need someone to ground you.
Especially to the new light workers, especially the people who are drinking from the fire hose and they're just floating around in this ethereal world. It's like the partner's like, honey, you got to pick up the kids still. Keep your eyes on the road. So yeah.
But that doesn't mean, I'm sorry, Chris, I'm just stopping you, but I just wanted to, as I was going to come with a thought, the producer said to talk about that. So I'm like, there's partners that dismiss it. That's different. Cause I was going to say, like, that doesn't mean you also have to tolerate someone who dismisses what you do. If someone dismisses what you do, they're dismissing you. Keep it simple. Different. We have to overanalyze that.
Absolutely.
So they should still support it and enjoy it and love that you're doing that. But if they're dismissing it, that's a no, because they're dismissing you, because that's a part of your life. So you definitely don't want to tolerate that either.
It's been my experience. Someone asked, why do 50% of marriages end? I feel like RFK tonight. Robert Kennedy. And the truth is, I think the first relationships are usually past lives.
Right.
And it's meant to end. And I don't think we realize that. We don't realize that the first 2 or 3 are never meant to make it. They're meant to set you up for the one.
Yeah.
And so it's real hard. Now I'll share something. Here's a guilty thing that I have. I've had a number of women I date where I know it's not the one. I psychically know it's not the one. I psychically know I'm supposed to be there, but I feel guilty for knowing. And it's been one of my issues of like, I think it spoils the romance to say that, I see it ending in and I used to avoid it and say, well, I'm not going to be in that relationship. Well, I stopped growing. Right. So I had to get back with the ones that were almost right. Or were giving me pieces of what I want. So I think, it's hard being psychic sometimes because you know precisely what it's going to turn into.
Oh my gosh, yes. I predicted every disaster that I had experienced. Like, yeah, it's gonna be 6 months. This is that, and it's like, I'm like, okay, I'm actually watching my death now. Like, what the hell? Like, just meteor come and hit me and be done with it. So, so yeah, it's complicated, but that just shows to me that spirit's like, you're ready to grow, you're ready to know and to grow, and that's what you're here for. And so, since I've adapted that, my relationships have been on par to exactly what I need, and just so like amazing how it's set up in that sense. That's when I would help my clients, no matter what the context is. It doesn't. A lot of people want relationships, they don't want monogamy, or they don't want marriage, or a lot of people want unorthodox relationships too. And so it doesn't matter which type of format your relationships are. You just want to be in the good relationships, and so that's what I love helping people with, as I learned along the way with my relationships.
I also think a lot of people come in, like people who've been married before will come back in the opposite gender.
Oh yeah.
And they'll be married to each other again. And the marriage in that case is actually helping each other get comfortable in the new body and being with someone that they trust. Right. And slowly the woman becomes more feminine, and slowly the man becomes more masculine. And it's almost like they absorb each other's gender energy. And I see that, of course, honestly, in tops and bottoms, Scott. In my gay clients, I see tops migrating to bottom. I see bottom migrating to top. And I'm joking about it, but it's more about the yin, the yang, really. It's less, I think it's less about sex and more about yin yang. I'm sorry, am I in your territory? I'll get out.
No, but I think it's like, for the karma is true. I've seen that. It's like, yeah, you thought bad about women. You're the woman now. How do you like it? I've definitely seen those like karmic switches, like you're saying, for sure. And I think that's the whole thing about it is karma. Like, and I think that the more you're in tune to that flip flop, or the yin and the yang, gosh, the terminology in this topic, or at least the yin and the yang of things. I think that I always say, when you understand how you are in totality, you are both the divine feminine and divine masculine, and you understand duality, then you find love so much quicker. Yeah. So much quicker, because you're in sync, and then you don't have to kind of be so separated. And that's why I think being separated is like you're separated from love, right? And when you're so unified, then you unify with love. And so I definitely agree with the karma, and we can tap into that past life regressions, guys. It's important to do that too, to figure out where your path has been.
And it's. And also, I want to bring up one more thing too. It might not even be a spouse like love. It could just be where you're the only light worker in your family. You feel alone. And that's a really common thing too. Like Christopher said, there's not very many of us that are awake yet on this planet. So it's actually a really common thing to feel very alone. That's the reason we wanted to come together and do this show. So a really big thing to keep in mind as a light worker, whether you're in a family who doesn't understand, maybe they're very religious or they're agnostic, and you're sitting there trying to do this project and you're feeling lonely, reach out to people in communities like that. Don't put yourself through that. And then also work on your own mental process with the people around you. Because of the fact that you are psychic, you might even not realize you're assuming they know what you're thinking, because you know what's going on. And so there's an opportunity there to just do some more work on the parts of you that you could improve while you're waiting to find your tribe and not feel so alone within your family. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. And Chris, I want to see your take on this, Chris. Like, your mom kind of set you up to like astrology. She like inspired you. Like, what do you say to those people who like family doesn't really understand what they do? Like, what would you say to those people, Chris? I'm just curious to know about that, what you feel.
I think that, I think I said this at Unite the Light, that the best thing you can do is just be an example. I've never tried to prove anything to anyone. So, I just live my life, and, I think the results speak for themselves, and I let the results speak for themselves. So I think that's the only thing that should matter. Like a long time ago, I learned that really the only person that can make me happy is me. And I think that in relationships and in life in general, to me, happiness is kind of like a state to be achieved. It's something you have to work towards. You will not always be happy, and nor should you always be happy either. So, I do things, and I actively look for things that make me happy, and I'm just living my life the way I want to is one of those things. So, and again, I think being a living example is the best.
And if your family don't like it, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck them, because you'll find a new group of family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. And look, we found each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, speaking and a lot of times you have a family that doesn't understand. So you clearly are different, and you can see why you're different, and the shadow defines the light. So a lot of times you either have to be born to like an archangel, or you have to be born to something sort of opposite that gives you that contrast to know that you
Right.
are the light.
Mm,
That's certainly been my path.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really
Sometimes
good
there's a
point
dark
there.
path too, that dark side that we talk about.
Bow, chicka, bow, bow.
that I love the dark side. Yeah, so that's great.
We do need the contrast there. But one of the ways that you can find this tribe is right here, Ignite the Light.
I believe what's next is what we came here to do, honestly. I honestly believe this is a divine appointment.
There's no blueprint for what we're about to do.
We're the new generation of evolving our species.
So, we're going to talk about boundaries.
You are much closer to making your dent in social media than you think.
That was awesome. Wow,
That looks
was
so
great.
good.
I didn't
That
see that.
looks great. Yeah.
So beautiful.
Oh, I'm getting emotional watching that again. Oh God.
Yeah. And that's available, by the way, at unitethelight.love. And if you go to there and subscribe to watch the show, you'll have access to our social media platform just for light workers. So that's at unitethelight.love.
And now we're doing Shoot the Shift. So we're going to ask all of you a question. And the question that we have for all of you, and we're going to answer this as well, is which sign is best in bed? And I promised I would start with Scott. And so, Scott,
You slept with all 12.
which sign is the most steamy and the best in bed or the bathroom, wherever you meet this person, right? It doesn't really matter.
The United Light Bathroom. To me, okay, I'm going to say the most expressive, I would say. Definitely goes to Scorpios, Gemini's males, for sure, Aquarius men, and Aquarius women, too. I think Aquarians are pretty good with this, with the free love energy. Cancers, if they're in the right mood. Tauruses, for sure, from experience.
We work hard.
That was the bathroom.
Right, and... Bring on this bathroom kick, huh?
Every week.
And then and for me, my personal steamy thing is Aries, actually. My personal,
Okay.
Yeah.
But it definitely, and I found more Aquarius steaminess too, actually. So
Yeah.
That square steam.
you guys have any steamy stories? Am I the only one with steamy stories?
We're all virgins.
Yeah, we're all virgins here.
Right. We're lying on live television right now.
Well, I'll definitely say Tauruses, although I have a disclaimer here. My Taurus husband is listening. I will also say Cancers, definitely. I'm not just talking about myself. I've actually dated other Cancers. And I don't know. I want to go with Geminis too, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Again,
you
these
guys?
are personal experiences, guys. So if I didn't mention it's just my own
I'm going off of
personal,
history.
and a couple signs are really more overt, sexually overt in that sense, just their nature, so so it depends on the compatibility.
I think the fixed signs are probably the sloppiest. Scorpio and Taurus, are obviously, I think, probably rule the energy the most and probably put the most time and energy into it. And make it a ritual, if you will. Not that others don't, but it's a ritual for Taurus and Scorpios. I also think though Leos and Aquarius is another, again, that fixed energy. There's something about that fixed energy that wants to get unfixed. Like there's just something that wants to jump out. But I do think it's based on individual compatibility.
Yep.
And I'm always surprised at what turns me on. I'm always surprised. Once I see the chart, I'm like, are you kidding? Okay. I guess I'm into that. So I think we're always
scandal. What? How's this so?
Well, I mean, for myself, I mean, when you always, I mean, I think I have a deal with my higher self, which is like, surprise us, I don't want to know. There's some things I don't want to know. And I like the surprise.
Yeah, that's why you put tape over your mouth so you can't say the safe word, right?
Yeah.
That's how you really have to play.
But can we talk about like sex too? I think like sometimes people get too wrapped in spirituality, they kind of turn their nose up at sex a little bit too. Like they can't be sexually explorative. I think that sexuality is a huge part of spiritual expression because it's extreme vulnerability, and you're expressing a completely different love, a completely different aspect of yourself. So a lot of people tend to turn their nose up about sexual exploration with their partners simply because they're spiritual, and I think that's such a contradiction to me. Because part of revealing your soul is revealing part of your physical, expression too. So there'd be a lot of great interactions and evolution through sexual expression.
What about tantric? I mean, I feel like that's like where things are going to go.
Sure.
Like, I feel like we've done the whole Pornhub thing as a society, like that
OnlyFans.
level of sex. And really, I think that level of sex is getting really boring. People are wanting, quantity does not override quantity, or quality rather, right? But the point is that I feel like as we rise in vibration, part of what we're doing here is pioneering greater and greater energetic and sexual unions. So I'm hopefully one to go out with a bang. That's my goal.
Me too.
Sorry for whoever my partner is.
But I agree though. Like, like the tantric is all about energy flow. Like how you need to learn the energy flow and understand the different positions and different ways to keep your energy and flow in that current and compatibility. I think it really focuses on, unifying versus the self. A lot of people are so selfish with their sexuality or sexual expressions and forgetting that it's actually a two-way compatibility street. So yeah, I think the tantric is kind of where we'll be elevating with that. So if people are just ashamed about sex or sexuality, probably have a little bit of vulnerability within themselves they need to open up more of.
Vulnerability is, I mean, the angels always talk to me. It comes down to trust, like the passion unfolds in the bedroom when there's trust there on both sides. And so many of us came here with wounds. So many of us are overcoming wounds that we went through with previous partners. And so, yeah, there's a lot of new stuff I think that's out there for us if we're open to it, to build that trust with a partner. And really, because we are here to have that physical experience. So,
right.
I'm not sure what where you've seen that, Scott, as far as, I'm being spiritual, so I'm not. I think maybe you're talking about like people who are celibate to like build the passion. Is that kind of what you were referring to? Or
no, just
are they just saying they're becoming like more prudish because of it?
Prudish because they think it's not spiritual. They kind of become judgmental, so I think that, the best way to get over that in the trust issues is do, some naked trust falls. That would help you get over your trust and sexuality. But yeah, it is more about, I mean, just picture that naked trust falls. I gotcha. Oh, I really gotcha now. But I think that, it is the vulnerability, it is a trust issue. And I think people utilize their enlightenment and high vibe as a way to make an excuse to not opening up that sexual side of themselves. It's like, I don't need that. It's too carnal. It's like, we've elevated to where, sex isn't just about procreation. It's about expression now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your sex life, Chris Reck.
Well, we're actually going to be doing naked trust falls at the next Unite the Light next year. So if you want to do a naked trust fall, make sure to come next year.
And Twister. Naked trust falls and Twister.
Happening in Tennessee.
Yep.
Your house.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, we have
that
a
was
great
my sex
topic.
life in a nutshell. Naked trust falls. There you go.
Oh, I love it. So we do have a roulette coming up, don't we?
Yep. Our final segment.
Yes, we are going to do the final segment. I'm a big fan of Jennifer Lopez. Everybody knows this. And also Ben Affleck. They're two of my favorite actors. I watch all of their movies. Anaconda, one of my all-time favorites. It's about a big snake. So, and I'm just spilling water all over my computer now. So Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are going to be getting a divorce, or there's talks about a divorce with these two. And the question for all of you is that, these are two Leos. And, I get this question a lot as well. This is another question that I get a lot, which is, I'm a Pisces, Scorpio, Leo. Do these two, are they going to stay together? Or do you think that, two signs of the same sun sign can?
Oh, we lost Chris for a second there.
Oh, I hope it's not the water that spilled on his
This
computer.
happens at the same time.
Oh, it did happen at the same time.
So should I start with the Bennifer shit?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, jump in. He set it up good. He set it up well.
So the two Leos, I call them Bennifer. And so look, I what am I supposed to say about this? I mean, they're both egomaniacs in a sense, and I think that Ben Affleck is That's what I'm saying, right? So, but I'm surprising seeing more of a humble side from Affleck, right? So he's kind of being more like just patient with it, trusting the situations, and kind of going with the flow. So, I don't know, I don't really care too much about it, to be honest with you. But if we want to talk about signs, sometimes same signs can work, sometimes it can't work. So I don't want these two to be a model of same signs compatibility, because they're not.
Definitely not.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm currently, you've been working with an Aquarius, and it's been, interesting and growth. And so sometimes you say two Aquarians don't work well together. So, there's always what do they call it? What do they call that terminology when you go against the rule? What's it called? That phrase? Help me, guys! I'm drowning here.
Go against the grain. Is that?
I'm reading comments, Christopher. Help me.
Okay. It'll come up with a minute delay. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're talking about compatibility versus opposites attract.
But I'm saying there's always a rule. There isn't always a rule of thumb with the two signs. The two sign compatibility is what I'm saying. There's always
right.
Something could break that rule is what I'm saying. So if you say, "Oh, I'm dating the same sign," don't be like, "Oh no, it's not going to work."
No, you could be the exception that breaks the rule. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I guess I'm confused why we're talking about Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. So
because they're a good example of two Leos trying to fall in love. I think.
Thank you.
I think we need to first of all, we joked backstage, we either use celebrities or scientists. You guys tell us.
Right.
Use one example of people in the world so we can talk about it. And the thing about it is Jennifer Lopez is older, but spiritually younger. She's older in age and spiritually younger. And she's focused on self-love. She's a step 1 Leo, where self-love is what it's about. Ben Affleck is a step 23. He's an old king from a past life, and he has forgotten how to love himself. And Jennifer's learning how to love herself in society. So what you have here is they break up. She cancels her world tour because he was probably holding that society stuff. He's probably going to fall off the wagon because I think she's holding the self-love stuff. So I think this is meant to be. And it's a great example of how sometimes you learn from the same sign to get better at what you need to do.
Well, I also, and to go off that, because I didn't really read it now that you're reading it, I think that she is really kind of showing Affleck how much he has evolved as a Leo, because she's pushed too far with the self-love thing, where it's like really self-absorbed. And so he's kind of like rolling his eyes, kind of like, I'm dealing with this for so long. But I think it's showing to him how much he's evolved as a Leo, where he's not all self-centered. He wants more authenticity in that sense. So I agree with you. She is very young spiritually. He seems a lot older spiritually to me. And I feel like that, that's kind of what's breaking this bond here. I think he's found that attention-seeking J-Lo energy attractive for a while. Now I just think it's old to him. He's just like, ugh, I'm over this. He's just really, really tired of that.
Well, it's exactly what you predicted. The male Leo's going without, and the female Leo's she'll probably bounce back. He won't.
What I'm saying is that I thought the male Leos were going to want more true love, and the female Leos going to be like all like randomized, like free love. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they're breaking up because he wants something serious. This doesn't seem serious because of this like narcissistic energy she brings to the table. He's been tolerating for so long. It's like, ugh, it's been so surface. That's what I feel like he feels.
Scott,
Devin,
Chris.
Well, Chris and Christopher called me Scott this week, by the way, again in the
I know, I keep doing it.
He loves calling me Scott, but which is fine. We both
can you just become Scott?
Yeah, I can become Scott, but I think that this is classic Leo right now. Like I think the Leo between is old story, new story. It's like I see this choice that Leo has to make in general in their lives. One is they're like an old conventional thinking, and then the other Leo is new ideas, expressing themselves and doing the things that they've always wanted to do in their lives that they haven't done yet. And so I think that's the story of Leo. And what we're seeing is just two Leos, one stuck, one isn't. And we're seeing astrology in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw this question come up, I don't follow them that much either, but I did hear the phrase "mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all." I did hear that from Snow White, and we are talking about two Leos looking at each other, mirroring each other, not always liking what they see. Energetically, I get that it's not completely over; like there is some real love there, and but this is a huge, painful hit that's going to take a lot of time to work through. So it's going to be about whether they're willing to do that after all this time and effort already put into it.
I feel
Yeah.
like Ben's ready.
So let us know in the comments. I want to hear from everybody in the comments. What do you think with that psychic roulette? Because we love hearing from you. I did have one quick pocket affirmation too. I forgot to mention it at the top before we wrap up the show, because this summer of love has so much energy around each sign. So if we didn't go into a deeper sign for you, I wanted to tell you that the key word for the summer of love is perseverance. That's what the angels said. So your affirmation, if you'd like to put it in the comment below this video or in the super chat: I am determined to follow my heart. I am determined to follow my heart. If you put that in the comments below to affirm that, and you remember that when you're meeting new people, when you're questioning whether you should stay with your partner, when you're wondering when you're going to find love, remember to ask your heart. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
I totally agree.
Yeah. Listen to your heart. What was that song in the 80s?
That's a great song. I love that.
That's a great
one.
song, isn't it?
Well,
But,
this has been oh, go ahead.
I just want to
One more
concur in
point.
that too. Of course, I gotta concur something all the time. But I feel too, like some people think their heart is their past, and their resistance they think is their heart. So make sure you differentiate what is heart based and what is karmic based, so you understand that what you're resisting might be some sort of past programming. So some people need to find the heart to understand how to listen to it. So make sure they understand what's coming from the heart.
Great tip. Well, thank you, all of you guys here. It's been so fun chatting with you in the comments. It's been my honor to host. Christopher, we hope you feel much better soon. Thank you for all the work you do, sharing to the point that you are in this position, but we know you're going to heal soon. Thank you to the viewers for watching. We love your feedback. We do incorporate it in future shows, so please let us know in the comments what you love. See you next week. And remember, folks, don't put up with the shift show. Lead out loud.
Good night, guys.